Ah, the Jetsons. A future that looks amazing. Flying cars, sophisticated robots, talking dogs, machines to fulfill our every need. Looks like paradise. Or is it? Look at this world more closely. There are very few people. All we ever really see is maybe a couple of cities. We almost never visit the surface, or if it's even mentioned at all, and everything is way high up in the sky, with only an occasional mention of cities on other planets. Sounds kind of isolated, doesn't it? Like maybe there's a bit more going on than the paradise in the clouds. Look at colonization. When a civilization spreads out to other countries, the best and the brightest are the ones who leave. The explorers, the ones who are brave and powerful and able to survive a potentially hostile new environment. And the ones who are left behind are, well, not exactly the best of the best. Consider this. The characters that we see most often are George and his family. Now, George goes into work for maybe a couple hours a week to push a single button, and he can't always be trusted to do that right. Yet he seems to be the most technically trained person we see in the series. And even then, he has difficulty coping with the perfectly ordinary machines, like the automatic dog-walking treadmill and so forth, around his own house. And robots are quite common. We have characters like Rosie and various other individuals who seem to be programmed with one purpose: serve mankind and keep them safe. This is what I think. When mankind left the Earth, all the best and brightest left. And the people left behind are the ones who simply cannot cope without the advanced technology running their lives. Kind of people who wouldn't last 5 minutes on a frontier planet and would probably starve to death if their microwave or fridge broke. This is what people like George Jetson and the other people in the city represent. They're the ones left behind because they couldn't survive anywhere else. Earth has become an asylum. They are kept there and watched over by the robots. The robots are there to make sure that people don't do something incredibly stupid, like push the wrong button and fry themselves. For all we know, there are safety devices directly out of sight, just around the corner, or perhaps a giant trampoline underneath that dog-walking treadmill and so forth. Because it's quite obvious that humans in this series are complete morons, who probably are lucky they don't walk off the edge of the building and fall God knows how far to the street. And if, like remnants of mankind, those too stupid to survive elsewhere, are isolated on Earth, what about the really hopeless cases? The people who couldn't even be trusted to push a button without hurting themselves? That's right. That's where we get the Flintstones. Now, some people might state that all this was disproven with the made-for-TV movie The Flintstones Meet the Jetsons, where the two groups connect and coincide thanks to a time machine. But I don't think that Elroy actually made a time machine. I think he made a teleporter. And they actually went down to the surface. You see, down on the surface is where the really hopeless cases are. The people who are so hopeless with technology, they were deliberately created a world where they could survive using simplistic versions of stuff. Think about it. It can't actually be the past because they know too much. They know about Charles Dickens' A Christmas Carol. They know about modern technology. They know about Christmas, for goodness sake. And also, consider this. They have electric lamps and television, which means that they have electrical power and broadcasting capabilities. Everything may look like it's made out of stone and wood, but that's all a cover. For example, consider the dinosaurs. In Season 1, Dino talks, and indeed seems to be much more intelligent and acts more like a butler to the family than the actual humans are. But after Season 1, he went back to just being a plain ordinary dumb dog-like dinosaur. I think he was a spy. He was programmed and built with all of the animals either being sophisticated robots or especially cloned creatures with extra intelligence to help mankind and keep them safe, just like the robots in the world above. when Dino's purpose on the first season of keeping an eye on the family was finished, they had their memories wiped of his true nature, and he goes back deep undercover as a supposedly mindless animal. And yet there is still hope. With the Jetsons, we have characters like Elroy, who was a high-grade genius compared to the others. Of course, given George hasn't really saying much, but the possibility that Elroy and a few others might ultimately be evolved enough, mentally and socially evolved enough, to the point where they can be taken off planet. That eventually humanity might either beat itself out of its dumbness, or the really stupid ones will die out, and the good ones can be saved and put on a distant planet somewhere else. As for the Flintstones, if you watch carefully, you'll see that over the course of the show and the subsequent spin-offs and so forth, technology gradually becomes more and more socially advanced, gradually growing and changing and developing towards a more modern setting as society gradually adjusts to the point where they can handle it, in the hopes that one day these poor fools might be cured. Now, for those of you who may be thinking, hey, what about the Great Gazoo? That's the point. He's just like Dino from the first season. He's an artificially created life form there to test Fred and Barney, to see if they're sophisticated enough to be able to handle the advanced technology which he's offering, disguised as magic. And if they succeed, they and their children might ultimately become the forebears of a new, more sophisticated and less helpless human race. But hey, that's just my $2.